Welcome to the Embodiment Podcast. This show is for you if you see the body as more than a brain taxi. It's for people interested in coming home to the body as a holistic aspect of who we are and how we live. Episodes contain practical tips, exercises you can take away, and interviews with specialists from around the world. I'm your host for today, Mark Walsh. On the show today, Silvana Rigobon. So Silvana is a movement medicine teacher based right now in Italy. So no doubt we'll talk about how things are there. Done a TED talk on cycles, a lot of wisdom, a lot of interesting things to chat about. So Silvana, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation.
How did you get interested in the body?
Well, it all started with a song, actually, with a song by Gabrielle Roth that I heard during a meditation workshop in 2006. And it was Refuge, maybe you know it. And it's basically Tibetan Buddhist chants sung by this guy that has got the most amazing voice. He's a Russian rocker, and you can even Google him. He's Boris Grebenshikov. And the CD was produced by Gabrielle Roth. And it was so deep, so unusual that I fell in love with it. And I felt the urge to check online what it was. So I found out about Gabrielle. I had never heard of it. I found out about the 5 rhythms. I found out about a teacher that was going to offer a workshop in Italy of 5 rhythm in Padua, which was literally a couple of hours from where I used to live. So I decided to participate, and the teacher was Jaakko Darling-Khan, and the rest is history, basically.
Mutual friend, okay, yeah.
And in fact, that was the time of transition between 5 rhythms and movement medicine. So it was just around the time when the School of Movement Medicine was created with Susanna. So I was lucky enough to be part of the first group of apprenticeship of the School of Movement Medicine. And I was part of the first group of teachers and facilitators trained by Jaakko and Susanna.
Okay, so let me jump in there if I may. So people might well know of conscious dance, 5 rhythms, kind of maybe the best well-known one. Probably movement medicine is probably the sort of second best known one. What would you say distinguishes movement medicine?
Well, I must admit that I don't have a lot of experience with 5 rhythms, because when I started, basically it was already movement medicine, but I can share why I love movement medicine and what I really, really think that is part of its magic. And I would go back to my experience of training with Jaakko and Susanna, because for me, that was really a life-transforming experience. Because at the time we were around 50 people. Let's say we were the pathfinders of the school, because it was literally an experience of co-creation. And I would call it a collective love in action experience. And it was really super inspiring because, people were coming from different lineages. I don't know. I mean, some people are trained with John and Macy, just to give you an idea. So most of us were interested in social innovation. Mm-hmm. And this is the time when I literally realized that resilience is the willingness and the ability to be part of the solution, to be ready to navigate in the complexity of our times. And in fact, when I think about it, I really think that for me, the apprenticeship and then the training with Jaakko and Susanna were basically what I was offered, the tools that really allowed me to be present in what is happening at the moment. And our group was really, really inspiring. There were people like, I don't know, Mark Boyle, Christian de Souza, David Mooney, Catherine Wright, Ben Yeager, Shani Yugo-Wurlitzer. So really people that even now are involved in many situations that are, source of innovation, in my opinion. And it was a truly amazing group of people. And what I feel is that the strong gift of movement medicine for me is that there is a strong sense of community, and it's an ongoing journey. And that was what I really, really, really value. Also, the other thing that I really appreciate of movement medicine is the strong connection with the Indigenous wisdom, and especially through the connection with the Pachamama Alliance.
Yes. It seems to have this shamanic element, indigenous wisdom, and also kind of a therapeutic element quite strongly as well compared to...
Yes. I'm more inspired by the shamanic side of it, and especially the connection with indigenous tribes. And in fact, I actually was in the Amazon with Jakob and Susanna a few weeks ago. And we were there with a group of people from all over the world to learn from the indigenous nations of the Achua and the Sapara. And I realized how much movement medicine and even my own way of facilitating owes a lot. And actually I could say it's interwoven with indigenous wisdom. And just to give you an idea, I really resonate with the purpose of the Pachamama Alliance, which is literally to bring forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet. I'm literally reading from their website now. And I think this is exactly what is needed in this time. And just to give you an idea, for us with the School of Modern Medicine, the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium was part of the curriculum. So there is really a lot that we owe to this relationship with the Pachamama Alliance. And I would say, to me, what I really, really, really appreciate of movement medicine is the social innovation aspect of it, because it's really what I'm interested in, and I'm trying to put it into all aspects of my life, and especially in my facilitation when I work even in companies or with individuals or groups. But I always try to inspire from this aspect, basically.
When people say indigenous wisdom, can you give us a sense of what that means?
Well, it's the connection to nature, and just to tell you just a little bit of what we did in the Amazon. We spent a lot of time with this indigenous nation, the Achua and the Sapara, and they just showed us how they live in connection with nature. They took us in the forest, and they know every single tree, every single animal, and they are linked to the cycle of nature. They respect the cycle of nature. And, nature is a huge teacher in terms of resilience. Any change is welcomed. If anything happens, nature allows it to go to the next step. You are part of nature. And what I'm thinking of, actually, I would like to start offering workshops on the leadership of the forest, because there is so much that, especially in these times, we can learn from, especially the resilience aspect of nature. Again, being part of the solution. How can we be like the engine for the change we want to see in our environment?
Great. Let's take it right up to the current day then. How was this indigenous wisdom relevant in the situation you find yourself in now?
Well, first of all, I would say the willingness to be present in what is, mm-hmm. and to welcome what is as part of life. Life is made of life and death as well, and I'm aware of the word that I'm using, because being in Italy at the moment, I can say that the emotion that is present at the moment in Italy is also grief and sadness, and the situation is really difficult at the moment, and at the same time there is a lot of hope, and we can be really part of a collective vision, and I think we can materialize the kind of world that we want for the future. I don't know if I replied to your...
Yeah. Okay, so tell us more about the situation you're in now. Where are you in Italy, and how is it?
Well, I'm in northern Italy, which is possibly one of the most affected area in the world at the moment. So, I'm aware that at the moment there is a lot of grief in my side of the world. Luckily, I'm not personally affected. I mean, I'm okay. My family is okay. But, I have constantly conversations with friends and neighbors or people that I know that have somebody in hospital or that lost somebody. And the numbers are really high. And, of course, behind each number, there is a family, there is a person, there is a story. So it is really sad. And at the same time, I am admired by the resilience of my people and my people and the people all over the world, actually, because Italy is a few days ahead, but it's happening all over the world. I'm really admired by the resilience and the ability to keep on the vision, keeping with the willingness to be creating the kind of world we want to be after the corona, basically. And I would like to share what is happening at the moment in Italy, because imagine, Italy is the place where people, body language, basically. And at the moment, of course, we were in lockdown. And what is happening, which is really, really nice, it's an initiative that started from one of the dancers in Italy. Her name is Elisabetta, and she suggested to use the hashtag #NoTouchStillConnected and to film yourself at home dancing and share the video online. And this has created like a wave of response from all over the world. So if you go and check the hashtag #NoTouchStillConnected, you will see people from Japan dancing, or from the States, or, from all over the world. And luckily in Italy, we're very close with the community of conscious dance, to the point that we created Conscious Dance Italy. So it's like a collective that embraces teachers and facilitators from 5 rhythms: movement medicine, soul motion, open floor, Azul. And we collaborate, and there is a lot of offer online at the moment, which is much appreciated by the dancers as well. So at the moment in Italy, basically, you can dance almost at any time with different teachers from the various practices. So somehow I can say that this situation has also invited people to bring forth the best we have to share for the community.
Interesting. So a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and the numbers are so high there. I think it's the country with the highest number of deaths now, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately,
China,
yes.
Yeah. And how is it affecting people's embodiment, both the fear and maybe these incredibly gregarious social culture? How is this sort of how is the embodiment affected by this?
Well, I'm a bit biased because, of course, working on the embodiment side, I'm involved in many initiatives that have got to do with this. So, as I said, we spend a lot of time online, and people are really looking for things like that because they appreciate the possibility of being connected. So, my perspective is very much focused on what we can offer. So I spend a lot of time collaborating with other colleagues, for example, with the team of Movement Medicine Italia. We've been offering something together, the 8 teachers of Movement Medicine Italia together. And people really appreciate it. Even if it's online, people are really needed something like that. Yeah. And the way I see it is that this is offering an opportunity to change completely the offer of embodiment in terms of medium. So now, offering online session is becoming the norm. Of course, it is different. And of course, when this ends, people will be looking for sessions in presence. And at the same time, this online offering will be much
They won't go away. They won't go away, will they?
At all.
Yeah, I was in a 12-step meeting this morning, and it's the normal Alcoholics Anonymous meeting I go to, twice as many people as normal, and including people that had small children who couldn't come to the normal meeting for transport reasons or medical reasons or childcare reasons. And they said in the meeting, like, oh, yeah, so this is just temporary. I'm like, no, it's not. There will be a need for this afterwards. People have that we said in England, the cat is out of the bag. You can't put the cat back into the bag.
Definitely. And that's what I mean when I say, well, first of all, there will be a time before the corona and a time after the corona. And the time after the corona will have also many, many, many interesting features. And at the end of the day, it's up to us to choose how we want to invest for the future. And I just wanted to say something that you mentioned, which to me is really touching. Of course, everybody's spending so much time on Zoom in these days and, Skype, whatever, online all the time. And the beauty of it is that children are appearing as well. So, there is with smart working from home, even in the sessions of dancing, there are families together, which to me is really, really touching. So again, this is something that is, it's a change for the best.
Quick break from the interview to tell you about our shop and a deal we've got on there, and also about some events that are coming up. So if you go to Embodied Facilitator /shop and use the code podcast 50 is the code, you can get 50% off anything in the shop. And what have we got on there? How to design training, trauma for facilitators, breath work, leadership, resilience, life purpose. There's a bunch of books, there's a bunch of e-courses, mostly for facilitators, trainers, coaches, yogis, different ebooks, but that code will give you 50% off anything at all there in the shop. So that could save you, let's say, up to £100, which is about $120. So well worth having that code. Go to embodiedfacilitator.com/shop. Also on that website, you will see embodiedfacilitator.com/events-calendar. Just look under events under the main title. You'll see all the stuff we've got coming up for events. We regularly have free online events. If you're interested in embodiment, we have them on coaching, life purpose, marketing, all trauma, all sorts of things. So have a look at the events page. You can see the different one-day events we've got coming up related to the conference and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, so all of that is on embodiedfacilitator.com. And remember that code there. That code is podcast50 if you want 50% off anything. There you go. A good deal. Back to the interview. It's humanizing, isn't it? When you see inside people's houses and you see their dogs and you see their cats and you see their children and you see where they live and you see their wife cooking in the background, or you see their husband.
I love that.
There's a humanizing quality to this.
I love that.
It's like having a window.
It is, yes. And I really, really hope that we will be nourishing this aspect, because indeed we need to go back to the human side of relationship.
What would it be like in Italy? I mean, Italy is known as a tactile culture. The kissing, the hugging, it's much more tactile than England. I was walking down the street in England and I gave directions to the railway station to an Italian tourist, and he immediately put his arm around me. And I thought an English tourist would never do that. Like it's just complete stranger. He was like, thank you, bello. Put his arm around me, almost kissed me. And I was like, whoa, easy. So it's culturally, that cliche has some truth to it. Maybe a bit less in the north of Italy than south, but still has some truth to it. How do you think that will be impacted, that tactile culture, by this?
Well, we find it very difficult. I mean, it is really, really very difficult. And, even in our sessions online, there is a moment when we invite people to touch each other, like to get closer to the camera.
Yeah.
Because, even psychologically, the image, people getting closer to the video, I think is important. So definitely, I'm pretty sure that the sessions online in Italy could be slightly different from other countries.
And
actually, it's interesting because we have lots of foreigners coming because most of the sessions are bilingual. So it's Italian and English. So there is a lot of people joining from all over the place, from Japan to India. So it's actually it's fun. Lots of fun.
Will change that tactile culture, though? Do you think people will go back to it, or do you think there'll be a caution around it in the future? Like, globally, I'm interested in this same question. And I can see it could go two ways. On the one hand, people could, after Corona, go, oh my God, it's so important to touch and hug. I was looking at a photograph yesterday from one of my trainings last summer with 20 people all hugging each other. And I was really heartbroken by it because I thought, oh my God, we didn't even know how lucky we were, And maybe we'll go back to that in a big way. We'll realize the power of human touch, or maybe we'll all be super cautious. So I'm not sure how it will go.
Well, I'm sure Italians eventually will go back to the way we are. Although at the moment it is actually very sad because I can speak for my own experience. In my family, I'm the one who goes to the supermarket, and I go once a week or every 10 days or something. And it's the only exit that I do. And I just realized I didn't notice, but I was in the supermarket and a friend of mine appeared just around the corner, and my instinct was to take one step back when normally it would be I go towards her, I kiss her and whatever. So it's really inside us, which is really, really sad. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Italians will go back to hugging each other. And, you cannot change a culture.
Yeah, I don't know. I think these things like this can leave an impact on culture. We see.
Well, for sure. We will definitely be more cautious, but I doubt we will give up on hugging each other.
Yeah. No. I bumped into an ex-lover in the street as I was walking to my daily walk in the park 2 days ago, and it was and we're still good friends, and we were obviously very tactile in the past, and it was the strangest thing to stand 2 or 3 meters away from her while we talked and said, are you okay? There's this poignant beauty of when we say in England, how you doing, normally we don't mean it, it's just a social nicety, whereas now people say, are you okay, how are you doing, and they really mean it. They mean it as a question.
There is a lot of care indeed. Yeah. And at least on this side, I really think we're learning a lot, and hopefully this nourishment will be brought on in the future as well.
And there is this, as you say, before and after possibility, like there was with World War II or the Great War, people would say, since the war, there's this quality that we could have after Corona, and there's a possibility there for some transformation, some positive change, some break from the old ways of doing things. What do you hope that will be?
Well, I'm actually actively working on it because, as I said before, I'm spending a lot of time on Zoom in these days with groups of people, and mainly facilitators that are interested in a different way of being together, being community in the future. So there is a lot of many people that have always had this vision of, in a sort of degrowth transition towards a different kind of economy kind of system. And in these days, there is a lot of movement in this sense, a lot of people coming together to really put together wisdom, knowledge, visions, and trying to make it really tangible, offering small steps to be able to do it. Just to give you an example, we're with a group of other facilitators, we're around 12. We have created an online cafe, an empathic space where people can come every day from 5 to 7 and just be there and share how they feel and have somebody to listen to them. So this kind of best practice, I think, is appearing now, is being created now, but I think it will go on in the next months as well, because there is really a lot of need to be supportive and to hold each other in this. We're all in this together.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different how we value connection. I hope the collective death meditation, we sometimes call it on previous podcasts we've done, we had a series called The Plague Dialogues where we talked to different embodiment teachers about it, and they talked about it as a collective death meditation that could bring people closer to values. I think the sort of economic system is being definitely challenged and maybe made more transparent in some ways. Economically, obviously, there's huge changes for a lot of people. And psychologically, for example, I see celebrity culture in decline right now, thank God, because no one cares about celebrities right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks God, as you say. And my hope is that indeed there will be a change in the economic system. I mean, we need a systemic change. This is systemic, and this is happening now. And there is a lot of people that have a lot to offer. And this is the time to do it. I mean, basically, literally, we are the ones who have been waiting for, quoting the Hopi prophecy. And this is the time. The time of the lone wolf is over, and we are here. We're all in this together. Although, I must admit, we're not all on the same boat. We're all on the same rough sea, and we are in different boats. So now it's up to us to support each other, especially those who are in the smallest boats, I think. Because, the future is made also of people who are more fragile in these times. And literally they are, our most valued treasure. Mm-hmm. So now is the time to see which kind of society we are. Mm-hmm. The society that cares for the most fragile, I think, has got more possibilities to grow together.
Every country that's had some kind of isolation that wasn't legally enforced has actually shown a very beautiful care for the elderly and the vulnerable. Like most of the social isolation that's happening in the UK isn't police enforced. It's people, of course, there's the odd idiot, the odd selfish person or the odd person who thinks they're invincible and doesn't care. But most people, the vast majority, certainly where I am, are extremely respectful. And it's a huge collective act of kindness, really.
You know what? I think that we have been prepared to this. I mean, a lot of people have been doing a lot of work collectively, and there is a lot of care for the community. And there are so many best practices that have been implemented in the last years. And somehow this is the time to put into practice what we've been sort of preaching in the past. I know many people that have been working how can I say it? They've been working hard to co-create the kind of collective community feeling that we are now putting into practice. So I think we have so many tools, and this is really the time to put it into practice.
Nice. Listen, I don't want it to be all about Corona because I know we're all interested in it, but simultaneously it's nice to have a break from it. And there's also one other thing that you do that's fascinating that is related to what you've mentioned. I saw your TED talk on cycles, menstrual cycles and cycles generally. So just in the last 10 minutes, maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, yes, I think I could quote the vision because, I remember it by heart. And my vision is a society where women of all ages, especially teenagers, have access to an education that takes into account the wisdom and the dignity of the body. And it's a poetic vision.
Say that again. Say that one more time. So it's worth hearing twice, I think.
I dream of a society where women of all ages, especially teenagers, have access to an education that takes into account the wisdom and the dignity of the body. But actually, my vision is more specific because I'm talking about the wisdom and the dignity of the menstrual cycle.
Okay, so why would people be interested in this? We've had a couple of other people on the podcast before talking about this. It's something I've learned a lot about and literally in just the last 2 years. But just to play devil's advocate, why is this important to be aware of?
Well, basically, my talk is a homage to Alexandra Pope, who is the person who trained me on the work of menstruality. And menstruality is basically a new perspective that restores the female cycle to its original role and dignity as an embodied tool, an internally embodied tool of self-knowledge. What I call the inner coach for a woman. Basically, when a woman starts respecting her individual rhythm every month, she gets feedback and she gets guidance from the body. And basically, a woman, she has got an inner coach that guides her in learning more about herself on a deeper level every month. And the point is that often women are not aware of it. And so I would say the first step is for women to be aware that the cycle can be an empowering tool for themselves. That's already the first step. And then from there, they can start tracking down the teachings that come day by day.
Right. So there's this idea this is happening anyway, so it's good to be aware of, and you can be work more skillfully with yourself and actually have this kind of inner coach, as it were.
Yeah. And actually, if I can add something to it,
Please.
because I was quoting the Hopi prophecy before, and I was inspired by the Hopi prophecy because, in fact, in my talk, there is a moment when I say we are the ones we've been waiting for, and I don't mean the women. I mean we are in the times where this can happen. And what I like of this prophecy and what has been guiding me also in the TED Talk is that there are some questions as well. And I think this is the time of responsibility, which is the ability of giving responses, but also it's the time of question ability, which to me is even more important, which means being able to ask questions to ourselves, because we have all the responses basically. But the point is, which are the questions we are asking to each other? And going back to the Hopi prophecy, which is, I have it here on the computer, I like the thing that they're asking questions, and questions like, where are you living? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in the right relationship? Where is your water? And I think these questions could really support us in these times.
Nice. Well, believe it or not, we need to move towards wrap up. This has been a slightly short one. I'm due online to do some stress management training for doctors and nurses. COVID Calm project. If people haven't heard about it, it's well worth looking into, particularly if you have friends or relatives who are medical staff. So to wrap up, so on two things. One, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, my website is silvanarigobon.com. And I'm also present in the Movement Medicine Association website, which is movementmedicineassociation.org.
Wonderful. And do you have a closing message about the body, Silvana, in these funny times we find ourselves in?
Well, I would say remember to give gratitude. So if I had to give an exercise in the morning, is first thing is start with the gratitudes for your body, and especially for your inner organs.
Your inner organs. Wow. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Some ways to get more, to give back, and to get more involved now. So the biggest request I have would be to share the podcast with your friends, people that you think would really enjoy it. Email it to them, put it on your social media, tell them about it, old school. Really appreciate that. Equally, if you want to support us financially, you can go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/Embodiment Podcast and give us $1 an episode. And I'd say they're well worth $1. So that's less than £1 if you're in UK-ish. So yeah, please go there. On the embodiedfacilitator.com website is where this is hosted. If most people I think listen to for iTunes. iTunes, we'd certainly appreciate a review. The way iTunes works means that a review means more people will find it. iTunes regards it as more important for searches. So even a couple of sentences review really does help as a little thank you to us. And if you want to go to embodiedfacilitator.com, you can see the actual, links to the sites. There's comments on there. The Facebook group tends to be where people discuss things. So if you go to put in the Embodiment Podcast into Facebook, there's a page which is relatively quiet and a group which does have some discussion on. So I will reply to things personally there. So also on embodiedfacilitator.com website, there's all sorts of freebies there. There's videos, there's free ebooks, there's ebooks you can buy. And of course, there's our newsletter list. If you want to stay in touch and learn about things like the Embodied Facilitator Course and our next Embodied Yoga Principles teacher training, then go to that website and you'll see a little pop-up and you can get the newsletter through there. Okay, so I think they're the main ones. Tell your friends, pay us some money on Patreon, give us a review on iTunes, Send us your email if you want to be on the newsletter list, and get involved on the Facebook. There, bit long. Pick whatever you like that works for you.